Everyone believes that luxury is about money, but that's a well-told lie. True luxury, the kind that moves collectors, billionaires, and visionaries, isn't in the price tag. It's in the soul of those who believe they can defy time. That's why the name Patek Philippe evokes something almost religious in people. It's not just a watch, it's a promise of eternity wrapped in gold and tradition. But there's a curious paradox here. While most try to buy time, a select few believe they can inherit it. And it is precisely this idea, that time can be saved, passed on, protected, that has transformed Patek Philippe from a simple Swiss watchmaker into a symbol of modern faith. A faith without temples, but with believers. Without prayers, but with heirs. What if I told you that luxury at its core has nothing to do with ostentation? That perhaps the true power behind a piece like this is something deeper, almost spiritual. Get ready, because the story of Patek Philippe goes far beyond wealth. It speaks about us, about our vanity, our thirst for eternity, and about the price we are willing to pay to avoid being forgotten. The birth of a myth. There are brands that are born to sell products, and there are those that are born to create legacies. Patek Philippe belongs to the second category. Founded in 1839, when time was still measured with solemnity, it didn't just sell watches, but the idea that time could be tamed, shaped, and even embellished. It was as if each piece said, "Time is finite, but elegance can be eternal." And this mentality, passed down generation after generation, transformed the brand into a synonym for almost mystical perfection. But myth isn't built solely on gold and gears. It's built on stories, traditions, and above all, purpose. Antoine Norbert de Patek and Adrien Philippe didn't just want to manufacture luxury objects. They wanted to create something that would outlive its owners. It's the kind of vision that transforms a simple workshop into a legend. Just as Leonardo da Vinci saw art in mathematics, they saw spirituality in precision. Each tick-tock was a silent prayer to human mastery. And it's curious to realize that, at its core, the Patek myth was born from the same impulse that drives any great dream: the search for permanence in a world that changes too quickly. From the very first model, the brand didn't sell a watch, it sold a piece of eternity. It's this feeling of possessing something that time cannot erode that still motivates collectors to pay millions today. And of course, this leads us to think about what one is really buying when one pays for a Patek. Time cannot be bought, but it can be inherited. There's a reason why Patek Philippe's slogan, "You never actually own a Patek Philippe. You merely look after it for the next generation," is considered one of the most powerful in the history of marketing. It doesn't speak to the wallet, it speaks to the soul. The phrase touches on humanity's deepest wound, finitude. When someone buys a Patek, they are not just acquiring a watch, they are trying to negotiate with time. And, in a way, they believe they have won. This concept of inheriting time is almost poetic, but also very practical. There are families that pass a Patek from father to son as others pass on a moral legacy. It's not just the precious metal that is transmitted, but the stories engraved between each hand. It's as if the watch witnesses triumphs and falls, and holds within itself the secrets of a lineage. It's a silent ritual of continuity, the symbol that something remains even when everyone is gone. And perhaps that's why so many people are captivated by this idea. Because in a world where everything ages quickly, trends, relationships, even values, owning something that promises to withstand the test of time is almost an act of rebellion. Patek Philippe sells more than a product. It sells the hope of permanence. And it is precisely this hope that transforms it, little by little, into something that dangerously approaches a modern religion. Clocks as relics. In a world dominated by disposable technology, where each new release renders the previous one obsolete, Patek Philippe watches move in the opposite direction. They become more valuable over time. Each piece is created as a relic, not as an accessory. Some say that a Patek doesn't just tell the time, it immortalizes it. Perhaps that's why, when someone holds an old model in their hands, they feel the same respect they would feel before a sacred work of art. This feeling of reverence is no accident. Patek Philippe's workshops function almost like temples of patience. Master watchmakers spend years perfecting techniques that could be replaced by machines, but they choose the slower path, the artisanal one. It's as if each screw, each spring, each detail were part of a liturgy. A Patek is not merely manufactured, it is consecrated. That's why many treat it as an amulet of precision and not just as a luxury item. And what's most fascinating is that, for many collectors, owning a Patek isn't about displaying wealth, but about feeling part of something bigger, a lineage of people who understand the value of what is rare, lasting, and purposefully made. Thus, the watch transcends the wrist and comes to reside in the heart. But what truly fuels this devotion is something deeper, an almost invisible force operating within the human mind, the desire for absolute exclusivity. The psychology of exclusivity. The human mind has a curious fascination. The harder something is to obtain, the more desirable it becomes. Patek Philippe understood this early on and transformed scarcity into art. No amount of advertising can surpass the power of an 8-year waiting list. When someone is chosen to buy a Patek, they don't feel like a customer. They feel like an initiate. It's an experience that blends privilege, patience, and the sweet sensation of belonging to a silent elite. Psychologists call this exclusivity bias. Perceived value grows proportionally to unattainability. And that's where Patek's secret lies. It doesn't sell to everyone. It sells to whomever it wants. It's a power reversal game. The billionaire doesn't choose the watch chooses him. It's the most sophisticated and effective way to manipulate human desire. Because when the ego feels recognized, the price ceases to matter. Imagine, someone with everything money can buy still needs to wait, negotiate, and prove they are worthy of owning a watch. This waiting is the spice of addiction. It's what transforms buying into conquest and luxury into religion. Ultimately, it's not the watch itself that people seek. It's the validation that they belong to a circle where time, money, and prestige unite in a silent pact. But this devotion has a dark side, and that's where the true modern cult of status is born. The modern cult of status. At some point in history, luxury ceased to be about comfort and became about meaning. Patek Philippe became the ultimate symbol of this transition. Owning one of their watches is, for many, a rite of passage, a silent way of saying, "I've made it." But it's not a shout. It's an elegant whisper, understood only by those within the same circle. Status in this case doesn't need to be displayed. It's perceived, felt, almost venerated. The curious thing is that this cult isn't driven by need, but by narrative. Each Patek model carries a story, a lineage, a symbolic weight. When someone wears it, they're telling a story without words, about achievements, about discipline, about mastering their own time. It's the kind of symbol that speaks more about who the person is than any public biography could describe. It's not ostentation, it's identity in the form of a gear. And so the modern religion of status is born. A silent faith, guided by values that blend aesthetics, power, and scarcity. People don't buy a Patek simply because they can, but because they believe it makes them part of a caste that understands the value of the intangible. It's an elegant, almost spiritual devotion. But what happens when this pursuit of eternity transforms into obsession? That's when luxury ceases to be a symbol and becomes destiny. The price of eternity. Ultimately, what one pays for a Patek Philippe is not the gold, nor the diamonds, nor even the impeccable engineering. The true price lies in the promise of eternity. It is the human desire to remain, to leave something that time cannot erase. A Patek is, for many, the embodiment of legacy, a reminder that, even when the owner is no longer here, time will continue to pulse on the wrist of someone who carries their name, their history, and perhaps their pride. This is the alchemy of luxury, transforming minutes into memories and metal into immortality. Some say that a Patek doesn't measure time, it measures life. Each tick-tock becomes the echo of an existence that refuses to disappear. That's why at auctions we see models being sold for sums that surpass the imagination. It's not the watch itself that's being bought, it's the illusion of conquering death. Luxury, in this sense, is the human attempt to dialogue with the divine. And perhaps therein lies the true obsession, the belief that time can be possessed, tamed, archived within a box of sapphire and gold. But time, capricious as it is, always finds a way to escape, even through the fingers of those who try hardest to hold on to it. Yet humankind insists on trying, because deep down, perhaps the secret lies not in stopping time, but in learning to be eternal through what we leave for others. Ultimately, time remains the most precious commodity there is, and perhaps that's why some try to buy it, while others learn to use it wisely. Owning a Patek Philippe might symbolize eternity, but understanding how to generate wealth, purpose, and legacy is what truly transforms an ordinary life into a story worth remembering. The question is, what are you building as time passes? If you want to understand the principles that drive the minds of the truly wealthy, those who build empires without losing their souls, it's time to take the next step. I've compiled in a powerful ebook the fundamental principles for getting rich. It contains mental strategies, habits, and fundamentals used by the greatest minds of prosperity. It's more than a book. It's a roadmap to financial freedom. The link is in the description. Click, secure yours, and start applying these teachings today. And of course, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and continue learning with me about luxury, power, and a millionaire mindset. Time is passing, but your story can still begin now.